Have you ever questioned what foods in your fridge should be thrown out right now? It's a common predicament we all face, staring into our fridges, wondering if that cheese is still good, or if the deli meats have overstayed their welcome. The refrigerator, while a marvel of modern technology that prolongs the life of our food, can sometimes be a cold, confusing place. There are items chilling in there right now that, unbeknownst to you, might be past their prime, potentially posing a risk to your health or at the very least, your culinary enjoyment. We're about to embark on a journey of refrigerator revelations, exploring 7 common food items that might need to make the leap from your fridge to your trash bin. From deli meats to homemade sauces, we'll be lifting the lid on what stays and what goes. So, shall we dive right into the first food item you should be considering? First up on our list are deli meats. Now, who doesn't love a good sandwich? But here's something you might not know. Those deli meats sitting in your fridge might not be as fresh as you think. According to Eating Well, deli meats are only good for about 5 days after purchase. That's right, just 5 days. And those cured meats you love, they can stick around a bit longer, but not by much. 2 to 3 weeks tops. Now I know what you're thinking, but I can't remember when I bought that ham. That's where labeling and dating come in handy. A simple sticker or piece of masking tape with the date can save you from the uncertainty of whether or not that meat is still good. And let's be real, no one wants to play a game of chance with their lunch. So, if you're not sure when you bought those deli or cured meats, it's best to err on the side of caution and toss them out. Remember, your refrigerator may be a wonder of modern technology, but it's not a time machine. It can't turn back the clock on those deli meats. So keep an eye on your lunch fixings, and when in doubt, throw them out. Next in line, we have cheese. Cheese, the delightful dairy product that adds a dash of flavor to our daily meals. But did you know, like all good things, cheese too has an expiration date? Let's talk about soft cheeses like brie and goat cheese. These are not the kind of cheeses you'd consume in one sitting, right? But that doesn't mean you can keep them in your fridge indefinitely. Soft cheeses are more susceptible to bacteria and spoilage due to their high moisture content. A general rule of thumb when it comes to soft cheeses, you can save them for 1 to 2 weeks. After this period, it's best to discard these cheeses, even if they don't show visible signs of spoilage. The risk of foodborne illness isn't worth it. Now, you might be thinking about hard cheeses like cheddar or Parmesan. These cheeses have a longer shelf life due to their lower moisture content. They can typically last anywhere from 3 to 6 months in the fridge. However, if you notice any mold, it's best to cut off at least 1 inch around and below the moldy spot. Remember, cheese is a living thing. It breathes, it ages, and yes, it can spoil. So the next time you're in the mood for some brie, make sure to check its quality and freshness first. When it comes to cheese, better safe than sorry. Up next is a surprising entry, pickled foods. Yes, you heard it right. Those jars of pickled cucumbers, kimchi, or sauerkraut sitting in your fridge might not be as immortal as you thought. While pickling is a preservation process, it doesn't mean that these foods can be stored indefinitely. Typically, commercially pickled foods that are unopened can last up to 2 years in your pantry. But once that lid pops open, the countdown begins. Refrigerated opened pickles generally stay good for about 1 to 2 months. Now, let's talk about homemade pickles. They tend to have a shorter lifespan, usually around 2 to 3 weeks in the fridge. But of course, this can vary depending on the recipe and the cleanliness of your preparation. How do you know if your pickled foods have turned? Well, signs of spoilage include a change in color, texture, or smell. If you see any mold or yeast growth, that's a surefire sign to toss them out. Consuming spoiled pickled foods can lead to foodborne illnesses, so it's better to be safe than sorry. And what about fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut? They can last a bit longer, up to 3 months or so in the fridge after opening. However, they also can spoil, so keep an eye out for any changes in smell, taste, or appearance. So, that jar of pickles might not last as long as you thought. Remember, when in doubt, throw it out. Now let's talk about condiments. We all love to jazz up our meals with these flavorful additions, don't we? But just like any other food items, condiments too have a shelf life. You might think that bottle of ketchup or mustard can last forever, but that's a common misconception. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, the king of all condiments, ketchup, can be stored for about 6 months once opened. Its spicy cousin, chili sauce, shares the same shelf life. Mustard, on the other hand, has a slightly longer lifespan, lasting about a year. Moving on to the exotic condiments, chutneys can be stored for anywhere between 1 and 2 months, while olives remain fresh for a mere 2 weeks. And let's not forget the creamy mayonnaise and salad dressings. They should be discarded after 2 months. It's easy to lose track of how long these condiments have been lingering in your fridge, isn't it? That's why it's always a good idea to label them with the date of opening. This way you can ensure you're using them within their safe period and avoid any potential foodborne illnesses. So remember, just because condiments seem to last a long time, it doesn't mean they're immune to spoilage. Always be sure to check their expiry dates and remember, when in doubt, throw it out. So even those small packets of ketchup have an expiry date. Next, we have broth or stock. A fragrant, homemade broth or stock is a testament to culinary prowess and a key ingredient in many a comforting dish. But like everything else, it has a limited shelf life. So how long is too long for that simmered goodness? Well, if you've whipped up a batch of chicken broth or vegetable stock, it's best to use it within 4 days of preparation. Yes, you heard that right, just 4 days. Why so short? Well, broths and stocks are fertile breeding grounds for bacteria, and after 4 days, they multiply at a rate that could lead to foodborne illnesses. But don't despair. There's a simple solution to extend the life of your broths and stocks. The secret is freezing. If you can't consume all of it within the recommended 4 days, portion your broth or stock into freezer-friendly containers and freeze it. This way it can last for up to 6 months without losing its flavor or nutritional value. That means you can still enjoy that delicious chicken broth or vegetable stock whenever you want, without risking your health or wasting anything. So remember, that homemade broth doesn't last forever. Use it or freeze it within 4 days to ensure it stays safe, nutritious, and delicious for your next comforting meal. Last but not least, homemade sauces. These delicious concoctions add a unique twist to any dish. Whether it's a tangy barbecue sauce or a savory gravy, they certainly elevate our meals. But the question is, how long do these sauces last? Well, the answer varies depending on the ingredients used. A basic tomato sauce, for instance, could last about 5 to 7 days in the fridge, while a cream-based sauce might only last about 3 to 4 days. If your sauce contains fresh herbs, it might have an even shorter shelf life. But how do you know if a sauce has gone bad? Signs to look out for include changes in color, an off smell, and a layer of mold forming on the surface. If you notice any of these, it's time to toss that sauce out. Now you might be thinking, but store-bought sauces last so much longer? Well, that's true. Commercially produced sauces contain preservatives that extend their shelf life. However, these aren't always the healthiest options. So if you love making your own sauces, consider making them in smaller batches. This way, you're more likely to use them up before they spoil. Or you could freeze your sauces. This will extend their life by a few months, giving you plenty of time to enjoy your homemade creations. So keep in mind, homemade sauces don't last as long as store-bought ones. So there you have it. 7 foods in your fridge that you should probably throw out, from the deli meats you've been saving for your sandwiches to the soft cheeses in your cheese drawer and even your favorite pickled foods. And let's not forget those condiments that you've been hoarding and the broth or stock you've prepared with so much effort. Even homemade sauces have their limits. It's essential to remember the shelf lives of these food items to ensure your health and safety. Life in your fridge doesn't mean forever fresh. It's crucial to keep track of when you bought these items and how long they've been sitting in your fridge. Food safety is a serious matter and is not to be taken lightly. After all, the convenience of the fridge should not compromise your well-being. Remember, when in doubt, it's better to be safe and throw it out.